As the Chicago United team assembled this dinner under the theme of Leading Tomorrow, it was incumbent upon me to think about leadership today, on how we lead today. After all, what Chicago United is known for is courageous conversations about leadership. And we lead today in a very complex and sometimes dangerous world. And we lead with a profound concern for the future. And at the same time, we lead with hope and a vision of a better world. You heard from Anne that all across the country, there are CEOs acting. They're stepping forward, standing against racism, and creating a safe place for all employees. Corporate leaders are driving inclusion, and they are in many ways serving as a moral compass for our nation. These private sector leaders are exemplary in a nation where public dialogue has become increasingly divisive. Social unrest is fueled by stories planted on social media, causing damage to our democratic institutions, perhaps even causing doubt in our own ability to govern by rule of law. This organization, Chicago United, was founded in a response to the unrest that came to an apex with the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We stand in the long shadow of a man who fought the darkest souls in America. He provided a bright beacon of peace and light. We live in a time when dark souls have shown themselves again, and yet I'm actually lifted because our own bright lights, the people in this room, we refuse to let our lights dim. We witnessed white supremacists who marched with torches in Charlottesville to the Nazi chants of blood and soil, intent on terrorizing our Jewish neighbors and people of color. They took Heather Heyer, who now stands in the light with those who fought with Dr. King, including James Chaney, a young Black activist, and Andrew Goodman and Michael Schwerner, young white men who worked alongside James to advance civil rights. Those three were killed in their peaceful activism on a hot Mississippi night more than 50 years ago. And when people die in battle for justice or for our country, we speak their names. We have seen athletes protesting the unjust loss of Black lives by taking a knee, only to have their First Amendment rights challenged, and their motivations wrongly castigated as disrespect for our flag and the national anthem. A bended knee has a long history in the Black civil rights movement, and Dr. King understood its power. Respectful, peaceful protest is a bright light in our democracy. We have seen the demonization of immigrants coming from our southern border or from the Middle East, and we've heard that only bad hombres would be targeted. But that's not the case. Just 2 weeks ago, Rosa Maria Hernandez, a 10-year-old with cerebral palsy, was taken from the hospital and held in custody because she's undocumented. A disabled child was terrorized. That is not who we are. We are better than that. We are better represented by those good pro bono lawyers who stand ready to fight these quintessentially un-American words and deeds. We witnessed appalling disrespect of Gold Star families, grieving widows, and transgender members of our armed services, but we witnessed, too, the passionate public outcry against such actions and attitudes. Leadership takes many forms, sometimes wearing the uniform of an athlete, sometimes of a general, sometimes in the form of a young woman with a protest sign. And as I reflect on leadership, I think about the people of Puerto Rico, and I think of the bright lights of the religious and civic organization servant leaders who are working hard to meet the dire need of those on that island because some have chosen to leave them behind, to allow them to suffer rather than alleviate the suffering. As we in this room consider how we lead today and how we will lead tomorrow, whether we will stand or take a bended knee, we will lead by transforming pain to power, the power to bring people together. We've looked at the precipice of a widening divide, and we choose to bridge it. I think of Anne's words, we're coming together to recommit to justice and mend the tears in our societal fabric. Chicago United leaders are indeed committed to a more just future. And I am so tremendously proud to be here with you because together, however difficult the national dialogue, we in this Chicago United community, we're leading for a bright tomorrow. And I thank you for that.